Hey, what's going on? Your email, and I'm just doing some studying and trying to figure out what I need to do with two of the three vehicles. One is the F-150, and the other is the F-350. The F-350 needs to be quote unquote bulletproof, but I'm not gonna be able to afford a bulletproof just yet. But I will try to make it more efficient and so that it doesn't break down while I'm actually on the road, and the other one will be the F-150 that I just purchased for like $400. It has two codes, P0171 and P1309 or P3109, one of those two. So that's just what I'm gonna be looking at right now. Yeah, so this right here is something that I'm gonna be installing. Coolant filtration system for by Sinister diesel for 2003 2007 6.0 liter, four power stroke trucks, includes cat coolant filter block, mounting bracket, and silicone hoses. All right, so this is what it comes with. I believe you put it on the yeah, the radiator. So, well, right next to the radiator. Let's see the hookup. Boom, boom. Look it up there. And the purpose of this is not to make you haul more, but to help cool the system down instead of, because one thing that happens with the F350 with the 6.0 engine is it has a overheating problem. It overheats, and it's a malfunction or whatever you want to call it. It's something, some the main reason why people try to avoid the 6.0. So in order to keep the 6.0, yeah, one of these is great to use. All right. So I'm gonna put this in the basket because I can't afford it right now, but I will be able to afford it later on. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look. So this kit is great for reliability, but it does not increase how much you can haul. Um, The cooling system is notorious for casting sand and debris from the block circulating in the coolant, plugging the oil cooler, which then kills the EGR cooler. Extra stress on the water pump, radiator, and hoses. A cooling filter kit continuously traps that sand, rust, scale out of the coolant, helps keep the oil cooler passages from plugging up as quickly, reduces risk of EGR cooler failure in some overheating issues, generally helps the engine run closer to its intended temps under load. In real life, it can make the truck more reliable when towing heavy, help maintain stable coolant oil temps on long grades, potentially extends the life of expensive parts, oil cooler, EGR cooler, water pump, head gasket if temps stay more stable. So how much can it haul? It's not going to help you with that. It doesn't change the way you haul, but it will extend the life of the 6.0. And I thought like 1.5, but it says it is realistically 1.3 to 1.7 times longer for the oil cooler plus the EGR cooler plus water pump plus hoses. That's right in line with 1.5 life expectancy estimate that I estimated. All right. And the amount of money it can help you save. If you're looking at it, the oil cooler failure, which is a big one, which would cost anywhere from $400 to $1,500 repair. And I'm pretty sure it's like 400 in parts, and then there's some money. Sludge and sand plug the tiny passages. Coolant filter prevents 70 to 90% of that debris from ever reaching the oil cooler. Then the next part we talked about was the EGR cooler failure, which will cost $300 to $1,500 plus repair. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean it could be over $1,200. Oil cooler plugs, coolant flow drops, EGR cooler overheats, ruptures. And then the filter helps keep coolant flow normal, less chance of EGR cooler boom. The next thing it does is overheating under heavy hauling. Keeping passages clean means it has more stable ECT, EOT temps. Then the truck stays cooler under load, less long-term head gasket stress. The next thing will be water pump and the radiator life. Cleaner coolant means less pump wear, less cavitation, less corrosion. And then the last thing it does is prevent catastrophic chain reaction failure. A plugged oil cooler can cause $4,000 to $8,000 in combined head blown head gasket damage. A $250 filter kit is cheap insurance. What it does not do, it does not boost your horsepower, does not raise the towing capacity, and won't prevent failures caused by bad tuning, over boost, high EGTs, weak head gaskets, or poor maintenance. All right. So, how it impacts reliability, real numbers. With no coolant filtration, oil coolers tend to fail every 60 to 90,000 miles on a work 6.0. With a good coolant filter plus clean coolant, guys regularly report 120 to 160,000 miles before an oil cooler even starts showing restrictions. That results a 50 to 80% life extension. Recommendation: since you're planning to tow haul, or maybe run long duty cycles, I would say coolant filter, monitor ECT, EOT spread, fresh gold coolant, or better, CAT EC1 coolant. Consider upgraded oil cooler later. Keep the truck near 65 miles per hour max when heavy. These combine to give your 6.0 the most reliable version of itself without bulletproofing. If you want a blah 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 blah, we're not going to read all that. But long story short, when we look at again the cooling system that we're looking at, again, right now I'm looking at 250. And after that, there's always more stuff. So this is the spring housing for the fuel regulator kit. So I've already upgraded that with the blue screen spring in the F350. So the only real reason I will get this will be because I'm trying to make it a show truck. And honestly, the more I think about it, I'm really am considering it, making it a show truck, as well as a actual worker. But that'll be kind of neat. I don't see the point of getting the socket looking the same. That's kind of oil filter socket, 24 to 36 millimeter reversible fuel filter cap remover, and installer assistance. No need to have that. So one thing about the F350, if you want to keep it running well, you have to make it a point to change the oil filter, which is on top, which is like a 36 millimeter or something like that. And then also the fuel, which is two parts. It's one from the upper housing, which actually houses the housing for the oil and the fuel, and it's like a 24 22 millimeter. I guess it's 20, yeah, something like that. Where it's a smaller one, as you see right here, and then the one on the bottom where you actually have to be underneath the bed is a bigger one. So the bigger one goes, so this one right here goes underneath the bed, and this goes in the engine bay. All right. And hmm, what's this? Hmm, snap. Let me find out. Yeah, if we're gonna be running this thing, we need to go ahead and get that six, because $60 for that's essentially $10 a piece. So that's $10 for the small fuel filter and the big fuel filter. We're gonna add this to the cart. Just because when it come down to it, man, F350s, boy. So let me see something real quick. There was something else dealing with let's go and look at what it takes to bulletproof. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch a video too. And while that's going on, we'll be researching F350 bullet proofing 2007.
I am so sick of this guy, and this guy, and this guy. Newsflash to these guys, we didn't make up bulletproof trucks. The term bulletproof Ford started with Bulletproof Diesel. It's a company out of Arizona that makes the best parts for 6.0 diesels. So they called their packages bulletproof. By their definition, a bulletproof 6.0 Ford diesel has four of the following: a bulletproof diesel remote oil cooler, a bulletproof diesel EGR cooler, ARP head studs, bulletproof diesel fuel injection control module, or a bulletproof diesel water pump. But instead of bulletproofed referring to Bulletproof Diesel, the company and their products, bulletproofed got bastardized by Cletus and the friends to mean whatever the hell they like. Sometimes it means a 6.0 with head studs, maybe a deleted EGR, maybe Chinese head studs. Who knows what it means? But we are direct with Bulletproof Diesel, and we've been a long customer of theirs. So when we say bulletproof, we're referring to their parts, not something we made up. All right, so leave me a comment. Tell me which camp you're in. I am so sick of this guy.
This vehicle here came in burning engine coolant, which is a common problem with the Ford F250, 350, 450, 6-liter diesel engines. Our remedy for this is to upgrade all the original equipment with the DK fire ring cylinder heads, the ARP head studs, bulletproof diesel EGR cooler, and the Mall head gaskets. And you'll never have this concern ever again. We call it the Bulletproof Diesel Package. This vehicle here came in burning engine coolant, which is a common problem with the Ford F350, 350, 4.
All right, all right.
As a truck guy, there are a few things that I like more than a good deal. I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing better than a good deal, because the better the deal you get, the further you can stretch your old dollars for things like building your truck or going to shows or overall just mobbing around with the homies. But there are some cases where the best deal maybe isn't the best deal after all, and if you've ever shopped for a diesel truck, then you probably already know where I'm going with this one. Well, the early 2000s were great in a lot of ways. One industry that took a pretty wicked hit was the diesel truck game. Specifically here, we're talking about the good old blue oval Ford Motor Company. But what happened? Why did Ford replace the iconic 7.3 Power Stroke that everyone just seemed to love? And more importantly, why does the 6-liter have such a bad rap? I'm Dustin with Custom Offsets. You guys can follow me on the gram at dusty.co, and today we're sitting down, we're spooling up the VGT, and we're praying that the heads don't fail and the TTY bolts don't stretch to find out why you may want a 6-liter Power Stroke turbo diesel.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things. Realize something needs change. Cause I know.
Those trucks just sound so good. There's just something about a 6-liter cold start when you forget to plug it in and they idle all rough, and then they do the high idle thing where it kicks in and they spool up and it sounds like a jet plane taking off. It just gets me going. When it comes to 6-liter trucks, they seem to be relatively popular. I mean, I had one, Hunter had one, Justin had one, Brent had one in an excursion for a while. They were just kind of all over the place. The common theme here, though, is that there were a ton of us that had one at one point in our lives, but none of us have them still. And after talking to most of the guys, the reasons all seem to be the same. Let me explain for a second here. In the early 2000s, Ford was running the iconic 7.3 Power Stroke turbo diesel. You guys know it. It's the one and only, built by Navistar with some help from Ford, of course. The 7.3 would be the most powerful diesel engine to date for Ford Motor Company, making just over 275 horsepower and more torque than ever before. The truck was reliable, it was dependable, and they just downright ran forever, mostly because they didn't make enough power to tear themselves apart. So much so, in fact, that there are guys still to this day 21.
You stupid.
They're not.
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
You stupid.
Freaking years later that swear by the 7.3 Power Strokes. Things were good for the old Ford Motor Company back then. Or so they thought. Enter stage left, the EPA. In an effort to clean up our air and reduce emissions, the EPA posed new, stricter regulations around the NOx or NOx levels that could be produced by new vehicles, and old reliable 7.3 Power Stroke just wasn't going to cut it. Because of this, Ford knew a complete overhaul was necessary, and thus the 6-liter was born. When the 6-liter first hit the market, it seemed to be a noticeable upgrade. It featured things like 4 valves per cylinder head, an all new, all sexy variable geometry turbo, and of course, the one and only high pressure HEUI injection system that the 6.0 is known for. And it really did seem to be the new king on the block, and for a few months after its release, yes, I said months, this would prove to be the case. As we always say though, it's not all rainbows and unicorns in this Cinderella story. There's no glass slippers here or tales of a prince, just lots and lots of disappointment. For those of you who know the 6.0 Power Stroke, then you already know all of its quirks. However, if you're new to the platform, let me break it down for you for a second. Ask any truck guy, regardless if they have a diesel or a gas truck, what they think of the 6-liter Power Stroke, and you are bound to get one of two answers. Number one, guys love it and are gonna rave to you about them and how awesome they are and how they got the best deal on them forever, or you're gonna get some variant of a joke about head gaskets. You know what? I'm just gonna say it, okay? The 6-liter Power Stroke is the Subaru of the truck world. It's just the way it is. While there are plenty of jokes to go around when it comes to the good old 6-liter Power Stroke and their head gasket failures, there is some truth to the statements. Allow me to explain for a second. Most modern day diesels have some sort of oil cooler in the engine. This cooler works in two ways. Number one, helping warm the engine oil up quicker with the residual heat from the coolant that's running through the engine block and, keeping your cylinders cool. And it also helps to keep that oil cool once your engine reaches operating temperature. In the case of the 6-liter, this oil cooler sat in the valley of the engine or in between the V of the V8, right up on the top. It just sat right there. It's kind of cool actually. And overall, it worked relatively okay. Inside of this oil cooler are tiny little passages that the coolant flows through, exchanging heat from the engine oil and doing exactly what it's supposed to do. This works good so long as those little passages are open, flowing free coolant and exchanging heat just like it's supposed to do and like necessary. It's really a great setup. In the case of the 6-liter though, what happens is these tiny little passages become blocked with silicants that were in the coolant, restricting coolant flow. Coincidentally enough, next up on the old coolant train after the oil cooler is the one and only EGR cooler, which cools exhaust gases prior to dumping them back into the intake for a cleaner burn and less emissions and less NOx and all of that good stuff that the EPA wants us to do. This reduced coolant flow oftentimes causes a lack of coolant in the EGR cooler, where temperatures can get awful hot because exhaust gases are just warm. High temps plus not enough coolant equals flash boiling coolant in the EGR cooler, which will then cause these coolers to fail, dump coolant into the cylinders, and then ultimately it stretches the TTY or torque to yield bolts that Ford used to hold the head gasket down in the first place. Not only did they use bolts that stretch, but they didn't have enough of them anyway, so then it just lifts the head off. It's just a chain reaction. Besides the ever iconic head gasket failure, the 6.0 had its fair share of troubles. The HEUI or HUI injection system worked great for vaporizing fuel and for creating a clean burn. However, it meant that any debris in the oil system could be catastrophic to the entire system. Now, additionally, any significant loss of oil pressure along the way, such as, an IPR valve maybe, could literally leave you stranded, as the engine control module needs to see the oil pressure before it will fire the injectors. There's countless stories on all sorts of forums of guys having a no hot start because their IPR is failing and it won't drive enough pressure to fire the injectors off, which means your engine's not starting, homie. And that's just the beginning. We're talking fuel injection control module, low voltage, ICP sensors, blown boost tubes, stuck turbo vanes. The list just goes on and on and on. The 6.0 truly had its fair share of gremlins, and it really does take a special kind of guy or gal to own one. Never fear though, it's not all bad news if you're looking at a 6-liter. Despite all the little gremlins, the 6.0s are alright trucks. For as old as they are, they make great power. The bottom ends are very stout, and the 5R100 automatic transmission is also king. It just handles a ton of torque if you throw it at it, if that's your thing.
What about these heists? We Ocean's 11 or The Sopranos.
It might be a good option. Plus, they just sound freaking fantastic with that loud-ass variable geometry, turbo goodness, and spoolie boy, and just... ooh, they're just so good. So with all the issues that we know about now, why in the world would you want a 6-liter Power Stroke in 2021 or heck, even 2022? Because let's face it, we are closing on 2022 faster than Maverick closing on a MiG in Top Gun. For starters, because of all the issues, the 6-liters are typically priced quite a bit lower than a Cummins or Duramax equivalent from the same time frame. They make good power, and from my experience, I can say that they're just a blast to own. I had one, it was awesome. Cold starts are fantastic. VGT noises are great. They're not bad trucks. Additionally, most of the above mentioned issues can be solved for the low price of a few $1,000s and, a couple weekends spent in the garage doing what most guys refer to as bulletproofing their truck, which is a term coined by the one and only Bulletproof Diesel, where you address most of the common failure points on the 6-liter Power Strokes. Love them or hate them, you have to admit that the 6-liter Power Stroke owners are definitely a proud group. Maybe it's the constant worry about the catastrophic engine failure that keeps them banded together, or maybe it's just that their turbo whistle is just so good that it keeps them coming back. Either way, one thing is for sure here: if you're looking to buy one, you should definitely do your research beforehand so you know exactly what you're getting into. There's just a lot of info that you're gonna wanna know before you own a 6-liter Power Stroke. Well, there you have it, guys. There's our take on the 6-liter Power Strokes. Would you own one, or are you staying far, far away? Let us know down in the comment section below, and as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. With that, I'm Dust with the Custom Offsets. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Yeah, I recommend y'all going to Custom Offsets. It seems like they know what they're talking about. So let's talk about what it means to quote unquote bulletproof your vehicle. Right, let me go ahead and turn this. All right, so in order to bulletproof it, again, it is the first thing will be the oil cooler failure. Well, hold on. All right, in order to bulletproof it, head studs, ARP 250-4202. The number one fail point on a 6.0 is lifted heads from high cylinder pressure and weak factory TTY bolts. That's the reason why, if in order to be able to determine if it is bulletproof or whatever, you check the head studs, and I'll be able to let you know if you just want a quick look at it. Now, the cost to do this will be $1,800 to $3,000 in parts and labor. So, you know, it could even cost more if the heads need to be welded. So this is one reason why I'm like, I would like to do it, but at the same time, you know, I'd rather go ahead and buy a couple F-150s and try to see if I can make something work on a regular basis, and then set up the F350 where, you know, is everything but that. But then once I start making money with the F350, then I'm gonna upgrade it, you know. But at the same time, I want the money that I'm making off the F350 pay for the heavy stuff. You know, of course, I just recently got my MC and you know, got the DOT and all that in July. So 6 months is what you need a lot of times for a lot of people to deal with you. As far as me getting a trailer, I do plan on getting a trailer, but I plan on getting a trailer after I set up the truck to at least do what he needs to do. Now, I might get a smaller trailer for just being able to haul off small cars, and you know, maybe like a 20-foot tilted flatbed trailer. So that way, with the winch, with the 12,000 pound winch, in order to commandeer or, you know, buy those de-stressed vehicles, just like the F-150 I just got. So that way, like, let's say my ideal is this: if you were to get 4 of the same vehicle and you sell 3 of them, you keep 1 of them, but you may have to even just throw away 1 of them, because let's face it, if you have more than 1 vehicle of the same, you're going to be taking parts off this one to put on that one, and then eventually you're going to have to go and you know, spend a lot more money to get the new pieces and things of that nature, or you might have to just sell it on a discount, whatever. So at least 2 of them vehicles. So my deal is like with the G35 is one of my favorites. So with the G35, if I was to buy one, do some studying on it, you know, kind of work it up, fix it up, then buy 3 other ones at the same time, because you can find these for less than $1,000 if you know how to work on vehicles. At that point, I'm gonna basically work with all 4 of them and have 3 of them for sale and keep 1 of them that I want. So in this case, let's say it's $4,000. All right, you can sell 1 G35 for like $3,000 up to $4,000 after you fix it up and made it where it need to be. So let's say the sales price is $3,100. Let's say $3,000. All right. So in a sense, it's 4 vehicles that cost you $4,000, and you sell 3 of them for $3,000 a piece, 3, 6, 9. So that means that you have gotten $5,000 worth of money, and you still be able to keep one of the G35s. So that's one thing that I'm looking to do. Then with the F-150, I like to do the exact same kind of thought process with that, where right now with this one F50. Like if I was about another F350, I know exactly what to do with the F350. Well, I have ideas, but with the F150, for the most part, after getting it, fixing it up, and things like that, then I'm gonna buy a few more of the F150s, because at that point it's easier to master something if it's the same kind of one you're working with. And then it's like the F150 can be sold from like $2,500 to $3,000 in a sense. Yeah, that's my boy Christian. He say he's not gonna be able to make it. All right, so yeah, so that's my ideal about flipping cars and things of that nature. So the next, I'm sorry to detour, but let's go talk about the bulletproofing of the F350. So the next part that we're gonna have to work with is the oil cooler. In order to get this done, it's upgrading it for OEM, and is supposed to help with the clogged oil cooler. Is the domino that destroys the EGR and the head gaskets. So bulletproofing requires a new OEM oil cooler or bulletproof diesel external oil cooler system, which will be better. If you were to go to the OEM, it will be $300 to $450. If you were to do the bulletproof diesel external, that will be anywhere from $1,400 to $1,900. Now, the next thing we need to look at is the EGR solution, which will be deleted, or just the BD bulletproof diesel EGR cooler. The stock EGR cooler ruptures when the oil cooler clogs. Deletes remove the risk entirely. So bulletproofing requires EGR delete off-road, or the bulletproof diesel welded EGR cooler, which is legal in 50 states. The cost will be, in order to delete it, would be $150 to $250 in parts. The BD to the bulletproof diesel cooler will be somewhere between 600 and 900. The next part will be number 4 will be high pressure oil system reliability. The 6.0 lives or dies by the HPO system, high pressure oil system. Bulletproofing requirement. STC fitting updates 2005 and up. Sand pipes in dummy plugs, then a new IPR screen, a new oil stand pipe seals, and check the high pressure oil performance health. And that costs anywhere between $300 and $900 depending on what's needed. And the last part will be the coolant filtration system, which stops sand, rust, corroding, and clogging the oil cooler. Again, this is the system that I plan on putting in first, and it'll be the coolant filter system, flush gold coolant refill with the CAT EC1 or the OAT ELC. And this costs anywhere between $150 to $250 for itself. If you want, this is something outside of bulletproofing, but it is highly recommended in order to make your system even more effective and efficient. So one thing that I've already done was it was to install a blue spring upgrade, which is on the fuel regulator system. This costs anywhere from between $40 to $70, and it's really a blue spring that you take off. It's like four 4 screws you take off, boom, and then it's like a little oil tip up here. It's like a little passive piece. You gotta, and then it's basically the not a gasket, but the what are them things called? You know, let me just go ahead and look at it so that way see what I'm talking about. Let's go. Blue spring kit for F350. Okay, so in order to do it again, I talk about the 4 bolts and a bunch of the O-rings that are there. This all and the seal little sealer right there where you it's like the outline. You have to take out the old seal and put the new seal. And the reason I call it blue spring is because it normally comes with a blue screen. It does increase your fuel the efficiency of the fuel regulator. That's the main reason why people use them. As you see, they have a few of them. One's for $24, 22, 24, and then if you want to do the showroom effect, it'll be $100 just for this right here. This is what you're paying for. The little extra money is so you can look cool. So, all the other ones is just the regular fuel regulator components. Even higher, 130. Okay, got a different color, 110. All right. We got this one for 40. That's because it's I guess it's Cyber Monday deal. But yeah, so that's what the blue spring is about. So let's go ahead and talk about the next one. And it's talking about updating the water pump. All right, this is it better temperature control. And let's see what Amazon got for us with that. So looking at it, the water pump, that's not old enough. I mean, that's too old, right? So if you notice, you can get it for anywhere from 40 to about $200, depending on. This is another component that will greatly increase the effectiveness of your F350, making it so that it's less likely to overheat. Right, it's a better temperature control. The next thing that you have to look for will be a monitoring system. So that way you can keep an eye on the ECT and the EOT temps. If you notice, everything is about temperature when it comes to this truck. As you gotta pay attention to the temperatures. And one thing about it is if you drive it one time overheating, you really can damage a lot of stuff. It don't take much for it to damage. I know I spent $5,500 one time to get my truck back in where it needs to be. And so this right here will be some of the systems that you can look at. And this is just so you can keep a gauge on everything. If you notice, they cost pretty penny. So the cheapest thing I seen was 300 something to dang near 800, $900, you know. Yeah, so 300, there go 300 one. Yeah, and again, the reason why you would get this is to monitor the ECT and EOT temps in order to know that you're in good working temperature. Because again, with these F350s, especially 610s, if it overheats, it can really damage the system. Again, I'm telling you, I spent $5,500 to get it back up and running. So I do know, and that's before I start really working on things myself. So another thing that you can do will be a FICM 58 volt upgrade. Stops head starts, stops hard start and injector damage. So let's go ahead and look at that real quick. Yeah, so this is a electronic piece. If you see, if you notice. Fuel injector control module. All right, let's see exactly where it belongs in the truck. Yeah, so apparently it's right next to the cooler and right there. So the exhaust right here, and whenever we get back out there, I'll make it a point to point out the FICM module, because that's something that we're gonna have to work with. All right, but yeah, this is what it looks like, and that's where it belongs. All right. Outside that, just that right there again will cost somewhere between $300 to $500 and to input. If you do it yourself, even less than that apparently, but you got to know what you're doing. So let's talk about the cost to fully bulletproof the vehicle on your own. If you do it on your own, it's $2,000 to $4,000. If you do it by shop, depending on labor, head machining, part selections, 6,000 to 12,000. If you go for the bulletproof diesel official package, anywhere from $9,000 to $15,000. And that's one reason why I am learning how to work with vehicles for the most part, because let's face it, shoot, these repairs is one reason why a lot of companies, as far as logistics companies, get out of business. So if you have if you've properly done the 6.0 by bulletproofing it, it can run anywhere from 350,000 to 500,000 miles, tow heavy loads confidently, maintain stable coolant oil temperatures. It handles mild tuning reliably, and start better and run smoother. All right, and that's the main thing about it. And let's go ahead and we're going to take a break, and then we're going to get into the F-150. All right. And the reason why we're getting into the F-150, we're going to be looking next. We're going to be looking at the two codes that I have to worry about, the P0171 and the P3109 or 130910. So I think it's 3109. But those are the codes that we're going to be investigating and looking at. Until then, go ahead and enjoy and rev up that engine, and go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. I'm waiting on one of my partners. He's going through like a little sickness going through. He's sick or something of the nature, at least, you know. And then after that, the other one of my other partners, you know, he's probably kind of scary on helping me out with putting this engine in. But eventually I will complete the engine swap. I refuse to work with someone who doesn't have any experience, just because, you know, my experience is like, I've been doing this for over a year, but I've not been doing it for years. So since this is like my second year or third year, getting my hands dirty on my own, I'm choosing to go with someone who's a little bit more advanced than me, and I'm not trying to pick up just anybody to help me out with it with the engine swap for the NPR. So I'm going to try to be patient and wait on my two aces. And then if by Monday or Tuesday, depending on the weather, that's gonna determine if I go and try to recruit some help. So NPR, I'm putting on hold until I have somebody to help me with the bell housing, the flywheel, and the engine bolts, as well as actually dropping the engine in. Because taking the engine out is easier than putting it in. When you're putting it in, you have to stabilize it. And if I was to do it myself, I will basically be doing a lot of up, down, up, down, up, down. And that right there would just kill you, you know. And then on top of that, it's a lot of danger when you are when you're hosting it, the engine up. Scrap can break, anything can happen, and it's a lot of weight coming down. And depending on where you're at, it can be really dangerous. So instead of me trying to do it on my own, I'm gonna have to be patient and wait for somebody. And I'm not making money off the road. Like I really want to, but at the same time, it is what it is. Once I get that F350 running, I'll be running with that. I'm still waiting on some fuel line to get in. That's one thing. But then with all of what I'm looking at right now, with that cooling system I'm looking at, because I'm telling you, the F350 is easy overheat. Oh my gosh, like it's crazy, and it don't take long for stuff to get messed up. And if I plan on being on the road longer than 2 months, I need to go ahead and worry about that stuff today. And as far as the F-150, I just got it, and we're going to be working on that. So we're going to be talking about the F-150 and those two error codes, and we're going to basically shop and try to figure out what we can do so that little knocking that's happening in F-150 disappears, and we can start rolling. All right. Until then, like, comment, subscribe, make it a point to, kiss your mechanic.